good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Doesn't matter where you are, in what time zone. Thank you for tuning in to check out my opinion here on Politapod. Today, we have a video of Nancy Pelosi from 1996 on tariffs. Okay, and everybody's talking about tariffs and how good they are and how bad they are, and we don't know her stance on tariffs. We don't. At least I don't. But we are going to check out what she's saying and put it together. Let's go.
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of you to
Take a look at it. Take a look at it. Take it in. Whatever you got to do. And breathe.
One of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction.
We need to bring the work back here. I mean, this is 1996, so can you imagine what it looks like now? I know you got all these people out there that are complaining about this and complaining about that. Some people don't understand. Some people don't understand how it goes. I don't understand certain things, but this is where you do your research, and we're here doing it.
In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. Not only do we not have market access, not only do they have prohibitive tariffs, not only are our exports not let in very specifically, but China benefits with at least 10 million jobs from U.S.-China trade. The president in his statement requesting this special waiver said that China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser. And one of the reasons that it is because well, first let me just make another point, and that is that our colleagues on the other side of this issue will say that trade with China, exports to China have increased 3 times in the last 10 years. They have. But they fail to mention that imports from China have increased 11 times, thereby leading to this huge trade deficit. The other issue, in addition, if intellectual property is a $2 billion, $3 billion loss, technology transfer is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. If you want to sell to China, your products into China, the Chinese insist that you open a factory there. They misappropriate your technology, open factories of their own, and then say to you, now we want to see your plan for export. That's as simply as I can say it briefly. But the fact is, this isn't about products made in America. The Chinese want American products that are made in China. And the most serious of these transfers of technology are in the airline industry, where Boeing tail sections of the Boeing 737s were mostly made in Wichita, Kansas. Now they are made in Shen province, where workers make $50 a month. And they had the transfer of the technology and the transfer of the jobs has taken place.
Where was this footage a long time ago? I mean, what I mean by a long time ago, like, it's just now coming out. Somebody has access to all these things and they just like put them out. I don't know if there's a library or something out there where you can go and get these that aren't online, or it's just that I don't look. I don't know. But, you know, it's here, and, you know, we're thankful for it, because whatever investigation or in research that we're doing onto whatever we're doing, it's here. We have it.
General Motors, Ford, they're all fighting to get in to build factories there so they can make parts there. They want MFN so they can get those parts back into the United States. So we are exporting not low-tech jobs and textile jobs. We're exporting our technology. Now, if you take a country the size of China with the very cheap, and in some instances, slave labor, the lack of market access, the rip-off of our intellectual property, the transfer of technology, a country that is not willing to play by the rules in any respect in this trade relationship, you have a serious threat not only to our relationship, but to the industrialized world. And if there's one message that I want our colleagues to understand today and our constituents, is that on this day, your member of Congress could have drawn the line to say to the President of the United States, do something about this U.S.-China trade relationship that is a job loser for the United States. And this brings us to the point that others have said, well, we can't isolate China. Do you think for 1 minute that with 10 million jobs at least, and $35 billion and be over $40 billion this year in a trade surplus, all those billions of dollars in surplus, that the Chinese are going to walk away? Where are they going to take 35 to 40% of their exports? Who's going to buy them? This is what sustains the regime. The funding and the jobs. They can't have those people out of work. They have to be at work exporting to the United States.
So,
are taxes still on your to-do list? Get them done for you. We'll
with that,
match you with the right tax expert for your needs. Our experts have an average of 12 years of experience. Connect with them in real time.
oh, wow. We could not get that off. We could not get that off. Okay. Sorry about that. But with that being said, they've been doing that since 1996. I'm pretty sure it's been longer than that, but since 96, and no one has ever addressed anything like that. If you can recall any president that was addressing the tariffs thing, you know, let me know. That made it a big deal. I haven't heard anything. You know, this is the first time ever since Trump was talking about the tariffs that, you know, all this stuff has been out. So, I mean, there you have it. You know, take all her words and what it is, and see where her stance is on today's tariffs, because she said that back in 96. And, you know, man, I don't really get into it, but I try to keep my ear into it to be informed, not educated, informed. Okay? Education is different when it comes to politics. This is informed of what's going on. All right. So, but that's all I have for this one. Let me know what you think, and, you know, we can go from there later.